Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Dawnbringers, The Forge of Fury, Season 2, Episode 15, Let Sleeping Orcs Lie. Which, if you were with us last week, you might remember what led to the title having that, or rather being called that. So, before we get going here, we're going to have a couple of announcements real quick. First off, I think I've got the situation fixed with the router restart, but there is a slight chance that there is something going on with my network. What we have found is the signal will get interrupted just long enough to disconnect OBS from Twitch. And then it will automatically reconnect, and I will have to restart the stream. If the stream freezes up and appears to end, please stay with us, and we will be actively updating you in the chat. It usually only takes about 30 to 60 seconds to get it restarted. At worst, you might have to do a refresh to get the stream to start going again. We were able to do that pretty successfully on Sunday night. I think I've got it fixed. Now that I say that, it could be 20 minutes. It could be an hour. It could be not at all. So just, if that happens, just bear with us. Wait a minute or two and then refresh if you need to, because we'd love you to stick around with us. Next up, Mini Terrain Domain is a partner with Jasper's Game Day. If you were with us a couple weeks ago, we did an incredible week-long charity stream. But outside of that event, we are partnered with Jasper's Game Day, whose mission is through gaming, through tabletop gaming, and this overall community, our mission is to make people aware of and prevent and provide help for suicide. To that end, thank you, Cajun Kevin in the chat, for putting up the exclamation point help. At any time, if you need somebody to talk to, we highly encourage you to reach out to the National Suicide Hotline, 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text 741-741. Trained professionals are there. Don't keep it to yourself. There are people that will talk to you. So at any time, just type help and in the chat, and that number will be brought back up, and we'll bring it up again from time to time. You can also type Jasper in the chat to get a link to Jasper's Game Day, or down below there is a link to Jasper's Game Day that will actually, the link takes you directly to their donation page if you want to donate to the ongoing fundraising efforts for Jasper's Game Day. The link down below will take you to their website where you can see what other events they have going on. And finally, speaking of Jasper's Game Day, there is a link down below. Since people are so actively doing this in the chat, somebody type in exclamation point coffee, and the links to roast coffee, a Brazilian and Peruvian medium roast coffee that was personally selected by me to represent Mini Terrain Domain and Jasper's Game Day. It is a partnership between myself and Initiative Coffee Company's Help Action. For every 12-ounce bag of Mitchell roast coffee you purchase, $3 of that goes directly to Jasper's Game Day. Again, with that funding going towards suicide crisis centers around the country. We do have, if you look above my head, you can see these glowing dice along with the plus 45. The players currently have 45 domain dice because of people like you watching. The domain dice is a fun way that we have made it so that you, the viewer, can participate in the stream. Cheswick Student has just brought up the sort of menu of what the domain dice do, and if you look along the bottom, we have a scroll going on down there that tells you what each of the domain dice do. For just $5 donation or 500 bits, you can give them another domain die. And this season we've been using raids and resubscriptions, subscriptions, that kind of thing, to also give them domain dice so that they can re-roll a crappy D20 roll. Make me re-roll a really good D20 roll. They can get some healing outside of a rest using hit dice. They can turn a failed death saving throw or a critical failed death saving throw into a success, or the patron's blessing, spend 5 domain dice and turn a hit into a super crit, which is an automatic double max damage. That has been used once versus a dragon. And I need to bring up my activity feed because it looks like the patron saint of domain dice himself has just dropped by and is ensuring once again that y'all are flush with domain dice. His message is in all caps, raining dice. So we're going to go ahead and just show you what this looks like. If you want to be, first off, thank you, Joey P, Chameleon Fam. We love you. This is incredible. They are going to need them tonight. So that is 10 domain dice. I got to make sure. Actually, because of Chameleon Fam, I actually set this up so that we can have up to, I think, 110 domain dice. So I actually have to dig into my second tier domain dice, get rid of that plus 45, go into the second tier and hook you up with that plus 55. This is the highest number of domain dice you guys have ever had. You are at 60 domain dice. We love you too, Joey P. Thank you so much. So we are, with that announcement, we're, of course, starting a little bit later, but we want to get into the action. So I'm going to have, we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. Everybody is going to provide the recap. All of the players are going to provide a little bit of the recap and tell you what you missed or what happened last time, and then we're going to continue with the adventure. So take it away, players.
Yeah, players, take it away.
Well, I sat on a bed. It wasn't a bed, and it was sticky. So I misty stepped my way away from the bed, and then we attacked the bed.
Yeah,
and after killing the bed, Griveth kind of hit a little rune in the middle of the floor.
Oh, right.
And it was anti-gravity time.
Oh, yeah, right. I blocked that out.
Yeah. So whilst floating on top of the ceiling, which then became the floor, Fig used feather fall, right?
Mm-hmm. Saved us with a feather fall.
To keep us from, kerplopping. And we got out of the room eventually. And we went into little conversations back and forth with each other, where Cantriel and Thorgarn had a nice little conversation about how he appreciated the fact that she gave him bardic inspiration. Had a nice little heart-to-heart. It was quite endearing. Griveth got jealous.
He did, yes. Griveth was like, what are they talking about?
Yes. And then Talmud tried to apologize to Fig and Cantriel. Probably a little bit more successful with Fig than with Cantriel. We'll see how that pans out.
I mean, it was an apology.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. And then kitchen, right?
So we basically backtracked to the throne room where we had fought the Dorgar.
Yeah.
All those episodes ago, we realized that we were basically down to just one door or going back the way we came again. And this is where Griveth was really like, look, we got to go kill orcs. I don't think there's orcs through that door. I say we go back. Whole party starts, going at it, bickering. Thorgarn is like, well, I want to know what's behind that door. And I'm super glad that I decided to take that initiative. I opened the door I go in and it looks like a very unused kitchen, but we start hearing like this, cantering noise as if like hooves are hitting the stone. And rounding the corner is not a centaur or a minotaur, but an animated table. And me being a dwarf, I'm like, all right, this is in the hold. There's been so many things that have been unaffected. The dwarves have been unaffected by it. I'm just gonna try and treat it like an animal, because it seemed to be giving me the vibe of acting like a dog in total Beauty and the Beast fashion. I actually, wind up befriending this thing. Griveth tries to go in and attack it, and I get in the way, thankfully. And we start treating it like a dog. I'm thinking we got ourselves a new companion. Talmud decides to try and, climb on top of it. He rolls really poorly. So my justification of what happened is I went to the other end of the room and called the thing over. So as he tries to climb on, he falls off as the thing goes tearing across the stone. We decide, all right, it's time to, stop playing around and get back with the mission. As we go to leave the throne room, the animated table, which I had deemed Tog for table and dog, just mushed together, it stopped at the doorway. I try to pull it through, and it takes all my might just to get one of the legs across that line. And as I do so, like the table leg goes rigid, and I like panic and drop it, and takes a moment for the table leg to cross back across the barrier and the threshold, if you will, and return to normal. And with a sad harumph, Tog is left behind, and we continue back the way we came. We go and explore a little bit more, all the way back through to basically that first cavern that we got into, where we fought Sturges. We climb all up the stairs. We push through a metal gate, and we find a room with sleeping orcs. And before we can start slitting throats, that's where we ended.
There's two things that you left out. Who remembers what those two things are?
The treasure!
That's one of them.
The treasure, and I think we fought something else.
Was it?
I found a little box. I found like a little treasure box.
Was it the room when we climbed the stairs that had the resetting trap? Is that what
there
you were
was
talking
that.
about?
That was the other thing. So
Okay.
Backtrack. Before you went to the kitchen, you actually explored the room behind the throne, where Griveth had previously driven Sir Brafford's honor through the door. You heard a thunk, and you heard a and then you saw blood pooling. In that room was the large stone table that had the inlay, that had the sigil in it. There was
So basically, Talmud and I touched the table, and
Yeah.
it rose up, and it revealed a pretty sizable stash of gear.
yeah, there was like
Oh, yeah,
there was like
right,
$5 grand in gold and
Right.
some
So
art
lot-
pieces. Oh, I
lots
think you have the list, don't you?
Yeah, it was scrolls, 1,900 gold, 140 platinum, 10,000 silver, 400 copper, a brass mug with jade inlay, which Thorgarn claimed. There was a gold ring, 2 paintings that are rolled up, a robe with gold embroidery, a potion of healing, and a potion of greater healing. The scrolls were compel duel, locate object, and dissonant whispers.
You basically, and then you found a sleeping chamber, and you realized you had basically found the council chambers and Durgard in the Black's place. Then you went up the stairs. That's where you found, by way of triggering the resetting fire trap. Decided to leave that alone. Headed through, and
That's when we pushed through the iron gates.
you
and-
carefully, you made your way through the gate. You carefully removed a blockade of boxes that allowed you additional passage. You chose down another passageway, moving your way through, and Talmud is in the lead. And that's where we left off, and where we're picking up now is as Talmud, you kind of make your way through these boxes. It's low light in here, but your dark vision can make out the blacks and the grays of more furnishings piled everywhere in this space. And you see some other shapes. You see a couple passageways that lead off to the west, to the south, and off to your left. You see that it looks like there's another passage that branches northeast and southeast. And then you hear in the room and you realize there are 4 beds in this room, and in these beds are 4 sleeping orcs. Then you sense a little bit of movement immediately to your right. At what you thought was a pile of disused furniture, a form shifts, rolls over, and begins to snore heavily, not 3 feet from your face. Rancid, foul orc breath dispelling up into your face. Talmud, make me a perception check.
You're going to get this party started right, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's not bad. So that's going to be a 15 total.
As you're looking around, you can see these 4 beds. The one right near you, then 2 that are kind of across the way towards that southern passage that you saw. One that seems to be kind of almost blocking the passage to the east that splits into 2 passages. But you notice as you're looking where those 2 beds are to the south, just past the 2 beds, you see what at first looked like, because of the shadow, it almost looked like it just disappeared into another passageway. You realize it's iron bars running up and down from floor to ceiling. And you can just make out some forms huddled in there, hunched against the wall, chains dangling from the wall, attached to them. This appears to be some sort of prison that the orcs have set up, though who they have in there, you have no idea. With Talmud immediately the one in the foreground. Who was immediately behind Talmud? Thorgarn, and I'm going to say Griveth just because of your height over the dwarves. You both can see and hear the snoring, and you see the orc nearest you. Griveth, you can hear it, but you can't really make anything out. The light is pretty low in here, and you being I believe the only one without dark vision, it's very heavily shadowed in this space. So, what would you like to do?
Talmud kind of like freezes mid-step, and he turns around and looks at Thorgarn standing right behind him. He puts his finger to his lips and then numbers 4 and kind of gestures around the room. He is going to reach down to his backpack and very, very quietly, as quietly as he can, slide the longsword that he has out from the pack, out of its scabbard. And then he is going to try to get as close to this sleeping orc on his right as he can, and then just drag the blade very slowly and deliberately across his throat.
I'm going to need you to make a stealth check as you attempt to pull this blade out of your tangle of gear.
Hold on, boys and girls. This is where it turns into a Three Stooges movie.
Don't forget those inspiration or domain dice. We got room to burn.
You know what? I'm going to spend a point of inspiration just on the off chance that I might be able to make it better. Just hopefully. Okay. First, yeah, there we go. Okay. So that's a dirty 20.
Excellent. You're able to successfully maneuver this blade without knocking anything over, without getting caught on any of your armor, clothing, or other gear. I realized in the messing with all the tech stuff, I forgot to get my notebook. Not that I need to write initiatives down or anything like that, but as you pull this blade, let me check something real quick. As the blade comes free, you hear and it's coming from the south side of the room where the bars that you saw were.
And towards that direction, Talmud's like, almost like sticking the blade to this orc's throat. He kind of looks in the direction and like,
as you look in that direction, you see that there is a humanoid figure standing about 3 feet high, clutching the bars, looking at you, and making some kind of gestures with his hands. Does anybody here know Thieves' Cant? Not a rogue in the party. So nobody has a clue. Actually, Thorgarn, did your previous adventuring party have a rogue?
Let me go back to my notes real quick. Wizard, cleric. I did.
While you don't know what this person is saying, you recognize that what they're doing is trying to communicate. Talmud, not understanding what this person is communicating to you, what do? You have your longsword drawn.
I put it to the neck of the orc and draw it across it.
As you look down and begin to place your sword, make a perception check.
That's a 14.
So we've got Talmud, Thorgarn, Griveth. Where are Fig and Cantriel in that lineup?
Cantriel will be sort of behind Griveth with the bow drawn and ready when she heard the snoring.
Just for a refresher here, that is not where you are.
No.
I think we had a problem with the map not showing correctly last time. Okay, disregard. We'll go back to here. You guys are in a narrow passageway. You can absolutely do that. It's tight. And then, so Fig, you're bringing up the rear. Are you doing anything in particular?
trying his best not to move at all. Because he squeaks, he is prone to making some noise. So I think as soon as Talmud would have like shushed everyone, if he was like even a little bit farther behind, he would have just stopped, just motionless.
Okay, Talmud. You lean down. You bring your blade, lining it up in position. And that's when you notice two things. In the stark, dark, and gray and black shadows of this sleeping orc, you see two shining orbs looking up at you. The eyes now open of this orc. And you notice for about the last 5 seconds, the snoring has stopped. Talmud, make an attack with advantage on this orc.
Okay. And this longsword, I think, is the first Durgan in the Black sword that we found.
Yes.
I have it marked lightly as magic, but I don't have anything recorded as far as mechanics that go along with that.
Let's see. Give me one quick second and just check my notes. I think. Let's see. Find out which area it was. Oh, okay. So that is. It's not the right room.
I can just try that without.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong part of the map. So okay. That, and I'm going to say that over, because you guys have taken, I believe, 2 long rests, at least one, in the time. Actually, I think you've only taken the 1 long rest.
I think so.
Down in the Dragon's Lair.
No, we took one in the room with the Thorgarn wizard, didn't we? In the forge.
Oh yeah, you are correct. You took a couple of long rests there, so you would have identified it by then, because even without an identify spell, as long as you spend at least an hour with the item, you identified that as a +1 magical longsword.
In that case, my to hit is a 14.
And so 14 is going to hit.
Okay, and then he's going to take 8 points of slashing damage to the throat.
Okay. You see, as you jab your sword in towards his throat, instead of piercing through his trachea, he lunges or quickly pivots, and you end up slicing along his throat instead, in the same motion as he throws back the covers, revealing a fully clothed, fully armored, and armed orc. They appear to have been waiting for you. I would like all of you to roll for initiative.
Let's get ready to rumble!
You can't see that! He charges $10,000 if you say that. I forget the guy's name that owns that saying. All right. Yeah, let's see.
He said tumble.
Yeah.
Or how
I
about
heard
that
ready to
rumble on
tumble.
the end? Rumbler.
I heard tumble.
I don't know whether this means it's going to be a good night or if it's going to be a bad night, but I got a natural 20 on my initiative.
All right. Let's
Oh,
see.
dang, bud. I got a 13.
Okay. So, hold on. I need to. Man, those technical glitches got me all kinds of discombobulated at the start. All right, Griveth, you got what?
I did it. I got a 13.
Cantriel.
12.
Big.
17.
Say again?
17.
Thorgarn.
21.
And Talmud.
I got an 8.
Okay, so let's see. That's ooh. Somebody roll me a D4.
I got it. 3.
Okay. And then let's see here. Okay. Why on earth? Weird. My bestiary randomly opened a Aarakocra. I'm like, why? There's no Aarakocra in here. So here is your order. Of course, Thorgarn is going first, followed closely by Fig, followed by Cantriel, and then let's see. Followed by. Nope, that's not right.
I think
Sorry,
Griveth goes before
it would have been
Cantriel.
Griveth, then Cantriel, then these guys, then Talmud is, then these guys, and these guys, and these guys. Just wondering how long you were going to let me say that. There's 5 waves of orcs coming at you. I'm just kidding.
Sweet.
All right. Thorgarn, seeing that Talmud has just taken action and you see all 4 of the beds, you see the covers thrown back and you see orcs beginning to rise up from the beds where they were lying in wait.
Are they still down? Does this count as prone, or are they moving and not?
Because they were lying in wait and you weren't able to detect their ruse, they were able to get to their feet. They're not anywhere. They're right next to their beds. So you've got the one, obviously, that Thorgarn or Talmud just attacked is the closest. But the other 3 are in the room.
All right. My low roll is a 19.
That is going to hit.
All right. So that is 6 damage, 3 damage, and then 12 damage. So 18, 21. If that's, if he's still standing.
So this orc, bleeding from the throat where Talmud sliced him, begins to rise up, his weapon at the ready. And you see as he brings up his great axe, and Talmud, you're almost shoved out of the way as Thorgarn just comes in, a blaze of weapons. There's a spray of an arterial spray of blood, and you feel the hot orc blood splash across you, Talmud. And so do you, Thorgarn, as this orc barely gets to his feet before he slumps dead and twitching into the bed. you devastated that particular orc, Thorgarn.
Right. So, the way I see it, I, come in with the first swing, knocking his weapon off and, vibrating through his hands. The war pick just descends into that open wound in his throat. He starts, gurgling, but he's still fighting me. Warhammer, crests right through his cranium, dropping him in a mass of non-moving muscles, spraying the dwarves, and maybe a little bit of Griveth behind us with blood.
Yeah, with Griveth kind of leaning in to see what was going on and towering over you, I think Griveth got a little bit of that spray of orc blood as well. Fig, you are next.
Well, now that Fig does not have to be quiet anymore, he strides forward in all his squeaking glory, and there's this little piece of gear that separates on his chest, right where his heart would be, and you can see what almost looks like a small dial, and you can see it kind of ticking on a steady rhythm. And he takes the dial and he turns it up until the 12 o'clock position. And then all of a sudden you see it immediately start ticking slower and slower and slower until it stops. And every time it ticks, you can see this small little of energy pulsating out from Fig's body, and he's going to cast slow on these orcs.
What level spell is that?
That is a 3rd level. So he's going to...
As your gears are turning and you have this effect start to emanate, you feel the arcane pulse. And as it emanates from your body, it goes and fizzles out. Someone or something has counterspelled you. So you, because that's a 3rd level spell, that happens automatically. It fails and has no effect.
Okay.
I would like you to make a Arcana check, Fig.
Ooh, okay. That is at 26.
You can't see who did this, but you can sense. Let me find. You can sense that the source of this counterspell has come from the southeast. So you can barely see into that room where there's the chamber to the east splits into 2 smaller tunnels or passageways, and it's from that direction. Somebody cast a counterspell on you. You know that.
Okay. So you see Fig, this energy just kind of, I can imagine that it pulses out, but then it just gets smaller and just kind of like whips around and and you see Fig tilt his head from side to side for a couple of moments until he turns abruptly and begins heading in that direction from where the counterspell came from.
In order to get there, how much movement do you have?
I have 30 feet.
So, in order to get in that direction, you first have to shove past Cantriel. You're in a 5-foot hallway, not too difficult. Then Griveth, then Talmud and Thorgarn, where there is a very bloody dead orc in a bed and a bunch of debris So let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20. At about 20 feet, you're next to Talmud and Thorgarn leaning over this dead orc. There's a huge pile of broken furniture and crates and stuff next to you. If you proceed in that way, you can see there are 3 orcs standing in the room, one of which is blocking your way.
Okay. He's going to go up to as far as he can and then just stop there for now.
That would put you in melee range with that orc.
Yep.
Okay. Just checking.
Yep.
I'll see if necessary, if it's still going. I'll see if at the break I can get this map for this particular encounter to show up on the map screen. Just to, hopefully I'm painting a vivid enough picture. But anyway, that's Fig.
Just
Griveth.
a quick question.
Yes.
Sorry. Just a quick question. Can he tell if that source was from that orc? If not, he's looking past that orc. He's like kind of determined.
With that Arcana check, this orc looks like he wouldn't know a magic missile if it shot him in the ass. So you're pretty confident it did not come from this orc.
Okay. So you can see that Fig is just very focused, like even past this orc. So, yeah.
All right. Star in 19 is just resubscribed for 4 months in a row. Thank you, Star in 19, for that. That is, of course, going to earn you another domain die, pushing you up to 61. In just a moment, I will make that change. Somebody don't let me forget that. While we continue, I'm trying to do something in the background. So, Griveth, you are up next.
Oh boy. Okay. So how many orcs are in the room with us?
In the room there are 1 dead orc and 3 live roaring to fight orcs.
5 roaring to fight, and then Fig took a path that there were no orcs except to the other room, to another room.
Fig is standing next to one of the orcs in the room you're in.
Okay. So I'm worried for Fig, so I'm gonna go up next to her and I'm sorry. Sorry guys. Deal with this orc. So I'm gonna move up next to her and attack.
All right.
All right. Oh, crit!
All right.
Bam, that's the way to start it.
Say it like you're excited about it.
Okay, I'll try. I got a crit. Do I roll extra dice for that?
All right, just as a reminder, critical rolls in an MTD game are automatic max damage, then roll, that's all dice and modifier damage, then roll your damage dice 1 more time. And I got a surprise for you guys. Lock that in place. Go back to here, and here we go. Here is where the room you guys are in. So you guys were coming from that northward chamber. I keep forgetting you guys can't see my mouse. But you're coming from that northernmost passageway. That first bed right there is where the dead orc is. The bed off to the right is, now do keep in mind that this only shows 3 beds. There's a 4th bed, basically a mirror image of that one to the south. Fig, Griveth, you are next to the bed on the far right. Fig, it's that southeast passage that you sensed the counterspell coming from, and then you see this area to the south that looks like a little J-hook in the passageway. That's the prison cell that Talmud saw. And then you can see about 40 feet down to the west is a 10-foot wide hallway that extends into darkness. So now you guys can clearly see where you are. I'm going to switch back to the overlay so we have our domain dice, but as we need to, I'll flip back and forth to that. It was easier to set up than I thought.
Add +1. You want to add a domain die?
Yep, I'm working on it now. I can't believe I'm doing this. You guys are at 61 domain dice. All right, Griveth, you've moved up next to that domain. Nope, not that domain dice. You moved up next to that orc. From now on, in this game, splorches, these guys, I've suddenly forgot what they're called. Gelatinous cubes are now gelatinous dodecahedrons. I don't know how that would work. They break physics. Griveth, what are you doing? You've moved up next to Fig. There's an orc here, and you crit on him. What was the damage?
23 damage.
What does it look like as you rush up to Fig and you put an end to this orc?
Okay, Eldath literally comes down and guides my hand in this moment of extreme danger for my party. The sword, Sir Bradford's honor, just pierces through the orc. Is there another orc standing behind him?
Nope.
Okay. So, and then when I pull the sword up, it just splits the head right in two, and the two sides of the head just kind of goes splorch to the sides, and it just falls down in a bloody mess. Spraying Talmud and Thorgarn with blood. Okay, so yeah, so I have another attack. Is there anybody within range?
So there are you went to that bed that was on the rightmost. There is immediately to your south, where that pile of junk is another orc just climbing out of his bed.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna put him back to sleep forever. Oh, damn, 21.
Yeah, that's gonna hit.
All right. Bam, come on, die. Oh shoot, I lost it. 12 points of damage.
All right. You kind of dart back around the other side of Fig, but you do not get quite as solid of an attack on this one. He's still standing, though he's bleeding profusely.
Okay, so you guys also notice that I'm kind of sparkling with the blessings of Eldath. So remember that anybody's near me gets a +3 on any of their saving throws. Wink, wink.
Griveth, you hear from that passageway to the southeast, just on the other side of where these beds are and the junk and where it looked like Fig was heading, you hear a voice. It's speaking in a guttural common with an orcish accent. And what this voice says to you, there it is gravel. And I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Me?
Yep, you, Griveth.
Okay. That wasn't so good. Oh, maybe I got a bonus. Pretty good bonus.
Don't forget those domain dice.
Domain die, yeah. Domain die.
Yeah. Let me see what I got. Okay. I think I'll go with it. 12.
Really?
Sure.
You almost feel yourself dropping to your knees to beg and plead to whoever the source of this voice is. but there is a shining voice from deep within you, though shrouded in darkness with a scent of decay. The voice of Eldath silences this command, and you pass your saving throw, and you are not falling prey to this, whatever this spell was. As you just barely passed your saving throw. Cantriel.
Being that I had the bow ready to go, and seeing that there's still an ugly bugger in front of Griveth,
There are still, yep, and there's still 2 of them in the room.
There's still 2 of them, so I'm going to shoot the one that Griveth just attacked.
All right.
And let's see, that's going to be a 21 to hit.
Yep.
And then that's going to be a mathing. Mathing is hard. Why can't I add 6 plus 9?
9 points of
9 points
damage.
piercing. God.
Cantriel, what does it look like as your arrow sails through the room, flies right past Fig, and kills this orc?
The bow is drawn and pulled taut, and as she releases the arrow, it just flies true, and you hear that sound. And the next thing you hear is that as it launches directly between his eyes and deep into his head, and he just sort of slumps over and falls into a pile of orcness.
All right. Wonderful. All right. Talmud. You are veritably dripping with orcish blood from a couple of different kills.
I was say it hadn't been that exciting of a combat yet.
There are 2 dead orcs, but there are still 2 standing. Nope, there's 1 standing in that southwestern bed, or at that bed, about maybe 10, 12 feet away from you.
So I imagine Talmud has taken like a half step towards the one that he did try to cut the throat of, who then got out of the bed. But then Thorgarn steps in and hacks him down to pieces. He then turns and takes like a partial step in the direction of the second orc, just as Griveth cuts him down. And then he kind of turns towards the third orc and sees Cantriel's arrow just like bloom out of this thing's face. And he kind of, and he turns to one of the last orcs that he can see, and like barely being able to close with him, he is going to exchange the sword, leave it on the bed where it was for the moment, and produce Gerta. And as he comes forward, finally getting to this orc, he swings Gerta in a big overhead circle, and then is going to attempt to connect.
All right.
What the hell? I'm going to attack recklessly. Because why not? Hey. That's a 25 to hit.
You guys are on fire tonight. That is a hit.
All right. He's going to take damage in the tune of 11 points of bludgeoning.
It's a solid hit against this orc, who, now that you're engaged with, you can see he was looking like he was fresh. Like, he looks like he has barely seen, like other orcs, they tend to have broken tusks, scarred flesh. This orc looks like, if there was an orc basic training, he looks like he's like one of the green recruits. No pun intended. That was purely accidental. Yeah, so he seems almost surprised when you smash Gerta into him, that he completely forgets to react to the pain for a moment. And then you hear this as he's gasping for breath, but he's not dead.
Well, I'll remind him of the pain because I'm going to attack him with my second attack. Yeah, that's a 20. Hey, for reckless attacks.
A dirty 20?
No, there's nothing dirty about that 20.
All right. Well, with that, how would you like to end this orc?
So he hits this orc, and the orc takes a moment to respond, and then he suddenly has this sharp intake of breath. And as he's doing so, Talmud is already kind of spinning Gertha around the other direction and sidesteps with the weight of the maul and brings this thing to collide directly with his back, basically right behind his heart, which splinters his ribs and tears his heart open inside of his chest.
So as he's swinging around, he hears in Dwarven from his cousin, "Don't mess up the ears."
Yeah, how much are you guys getting per orc ear?
25.
And you had how many ears before now?
3. Cantriel
you've just killed 8 ears worth of orcs.
Cantriel has 2. Thorgarn has 1.
All right, Talmud has just knocked this orc down. The 4 orcs that you can see are dead. You have a moment. We're going to stay in initiative order. So we're going to go back to the top of the initiative with Thorgarn. What would you like to do?
So we don't see anything else?
Let's see. You were still next to where the first orc that you took out.
Yes.
I'm
at that first bed.
No, you do not. For the moment, unless you're like searching around or depending on what you do, you don't see anything.
I want to take a look and look at the prisoner or the whoever it was that I was seeing doing some kind of canting, and see what he's doing or see how they're reacting.
You're just looking over there, or are you walking over there?
I want to just look in that direction. All I've done is turn my head.
You see a very raggedy, filthy looking dwarf.
Oh.
His hands, you can now see his knuckles are bruised and cracked as he's holding onto the bars. And in a dry, raspy voice, he hisses at you. "I tried to tell ya! It's a frickin' trap!"
So I'll begin walking over towards him.
All right. So you... yeah, there's... You have enough movement, obviously, to make it up to him. Are you going to do anything?
What does the lock look like?
It's a heavy metal chain and lock wrapped around the edge of the door and the other bars. Kind of woven through the couple of bars a couple times, and it's just a big beefy lock.
Does it look like something that if I two-hand my warhammer and bring it down, there's a chance of it doing, that it's no chance, or that it's only a little bit?
Give me an insight check.
Insight. Killing me here. Listen, actually no insight. That's not too bad. I'm going to use one of my inspirations. It's a 15.
It looks like a good sturdy lock, but you're an even sturdier dwarf. You think you have a chance.
All right. So then I will give it a whack.
All right. Make an attack.
That is a dirty 20.
You bring your hammer down, and you almost like the corner of the hammer hits that sweet spot right between the U of the locking portion. And there's a loud metallic clang as the chains rattle and the bottom portion of the lock breaks apart and hits the floor. The dwarf immediately, as he saw you raising the hammer, had taken a step back, but now he's pressing back further in to this space, and he's going, "What part of trap do you not understand?" And that's going to end your turn.
Sure.
Fig.
Fig is going to continue to walk towards that southeast area.
Sure. So kind of moving around the bed, you can see where the passage gets really narrow, but you can see now that there is a fire in this larger chamber. And you can see that in that chamber, it just looks like a larger space. There's a fire with smoke rising from it, and you see a shift as a shadow moves in front of the fire for a moment, silhouetted. I think you've got 15, 20, 25, 30. If you want to go all the way into that room, you can, or you can stop short of it, whatever you want to do.
I think Fig is going to move all the way into the room.
So you
just kind of, sorry.
Go ahead.
He's just kind of like looking around, kind of cautiously.
You can see now, having moved a little bit, but standing about 10 feet away from the entrance to the room, is an orcish humanoid, but he's wearing dirty robes. He's wearing a headdress made of feathers and beads. He carries a staff, and he seems to be holding up a withered hand towards you. Not sure if it's a gesture of stop, if he's attempting some sort of arcane sigil, or about to flip you off. You don't know.
Fig is kind of looking at him. You are very strong.
Make a perception check.
That is a 16.
You notice a partially burned behind him in the fire. You see, as if he has just thrown this into the fire, you see a spell scroll. It's already caught fire, and you can see that even now it looks like the arcane sigils on it are dissipating. You suspect that this may be what he used to cast counterspell on you.
Or perhaps not. How disappointing.
I don't know what you are, but I will kill you all the same.
It says, but it's not its turn yet, so it doesn't do anything. But it is Griveth's turn. As you notice that Fig has moved down this passageway, Thorgarn at the same time appears to be breaking into a jail cell. You hear the dwarf hoarse whisper that about it being a trap. What are you going to do, Griveth?
So Griveth is furiously fighting around him, and he turns back to kind of see the situation, and Fig has wandered off again down this hallway, and he's like, so he looks over, frustrated. He looks over, he looks over at Cantriel. Cantriel looks fine. She's good. So, and she can definitely take care of herself, as she just showed there a minute ago. And so he's got her mom. She's got her mom too. Look out for her. And so Griveth is going to quickly catch up with Fig. And did Fig? Did you say anything about? Did you mention anything about that you thought there was some kind of magic user, or that they canceled your spell or anything? We saw your spell fizzle.
Yeah, you saw it fizzle, but he didn't say anything, but except just be very pointedly walking in that direction. Right.
So if I kind of rush her way and see this raggedy orc in the robes, can I push past her and get to him in melee range?
Let's see. While I'm shifting over to this, thank you to Star19 who gifted a sub to Games Bookstore, giving you another domain die because you need them. So what's your movement?
30.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25. You're going to be able to just get inside the room. He's standing about 10 feet beyond that.
Okay, gotcha.
So in a single move, all you can do is basically get to where Fig is and sort of push past his shoulder.
Okay. I holler at him to throw down whatever he has and lie on the floor. Does he comply?
Make an intimidation check.
All right, you got it. Intimidation. Okay. Oh, 21.
He looks at you like he is going to say something. And then he sort of cowers back.
I don't know who you think you are, but he's going to tear you limb from limb.
And is there anything else?
He
does not get down, but he does sort of cower and move back.
Okay.
There's possible something additional effect, but it depends on what you do.
Okay, does he cower? This is a flavor thing. Does he cower from my being a paladin of the holy? Or is he cowering from the darkness?
Roll an insight check.
All right. 19.
It seems to you that it's while you're not entirely certain if it's because of your holy paladin aura, the darkness, or whatever it is, he's generally, as soon as you came into the room and spoke with such firmness and resolution, it seemed to make him rethink his actions.
Okay. So I don't want to let him do what he's doing, so I'm going to throw javelins at him.
Oh. Okay, as one does.
That's my javelin attack. Oh, okay. That's 16.
That will hit him.
Oh. And that would be, he takes 6 points of damage.
Okay.
I'm going to throw another one.
Make a perception check.
Got it. That is a 13.
The javelin strikes him, hitting his side, but it does not pierce him. It bounces off, and you see where it tore his robes. You can see ring mail shining underneath.
Oh.
So you're throwing a second javelin?
Yeah, I'll throw a second one. That is a 21.
That will hit.
Man, these dice are hot tonight.
Yeah, all you guys are rolling super high.
Shoot.
Oh.
That is a 7 points of damage.
All right. Same thing. It seems almost like it's going to stick for a moment. And it seems like it's more just hurting him in the ribs as it bounces off. And he kind of looks down.
Why don't you lie down?
And I want you to make another wisdom save, but I want you to do it with advantage because of the intimidation that you did earlier.
Okay, cool.
A moment ago.
That's 18.
Again, you feel this almost magical compulsion, like you almost were going to obey him. But the force of Eldath is working as a sort of buffer within. And once again, he fails to command you. Cantriel, it is your turn.
I call out for my friends that there's something strange over here. We need help.
All right, hearing that, Cantriel kind of like huff. And she'll start walking over in the direction where she saw Fig and Griveth go. And
what's your speed?
It is 30. Yeah, 30.
You're only going to be able to make it to where Fig and Griveth were in a single move.
Can I see in, though?
Yes. So you're basically next to that bed on the right.
Okay.
On the room side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see across that, down that hall, and you can just see inside this kind of smoky room that Griveth has just sort of shoved past Fig. And you hear some words, and then Griveth, you see him chucking some javelins, and
I see the javelins bouncing.
I'll say yeah, because I know you have a really high passive perception. Your elf eyes are able to kind of see what's going on in there.
I see and hear everything. Then I'm going to... She'll probably look and see that things aren't progressing well, and especially like the fact that Griveth's not making any type of damage like he normally would. They're still not right on top of this guy, right?
No, you can see that this figure seems to be a little ways away from them inside this room.
Okay, then I'm going to be casting Shatter on him, on this huddled figure.
All right, that's
since it's not near.
Is that a con save?
That is what I'm looking at right now. I have to move things. Hold on, windows are in the way of each other. Yeah, con.
Why is this stupid? I've got another Aarakocra showing up. All right, an Aarakocra. No, I'm just kidding. Con save, you say?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me grab an orcish die here.
Orcish die.
Where did it go? Here it is. His con save. Let me see. What's his con? Not the random Aarakocra. He has. So that is a 12 on the die with a +3. That is a 15.
I kind of want to make you re-roll that.
All right, that is going to cost you 2 domain dice.
I mean, we might as well.
And I'm going to go ahead and do this now so I don't forget. So that's going to knock you guys down to 60. So weirdly, I'm going to do this. It'll make sense in a moment.
Oh, you're flipping it around.
So there we go. And so we're going to re-roll that. The new con save is a 10.
So she's going to look and she's going to narrow her eyes and she goes, well, now I'm giving you something fun. And her voice just raises higher and higher, higher. And there's this piercing pitch to it as she gets into the higher upper notes. And this reverberation starts to form behind this form on the ground. And she's casting Shatter upon him. And that's 3d8 damage.
So,
It's 2d8 in hand. Where's my other one? That's what I'll just roll this. Oh, okay. So a 7 and an 8 plus a 7. So
22.
22.
So
basically, he and any inorganic material.
So that was 22. All right, so you see the shatter spell, all of you, the three of you anyway, see in particular Griveth and Fig in this room as the very stone at this orc caster's feet just instantly shatters. There's a thunderous sound. The orc sort of cringes, and you actually see the lower half of its robes just sort of tatter and fall apart, revealing the leather and ringmail armor that it was wearing under these robes. The bottom portion of the staff it was carrying shatters, and it momentarily drops to one knee.
He's gonna have fun with you.
And that is when all of you hear and let's see, Talmud and Thorgarn, you are still in the room. From that hallway, you hear the sound, this rhythmic thumping sound. It takes a moment to place that sound. It has an almost hollow and very reverberating kind of sound. And you realize it's the sound of many feet running across wood, as if many feet are coming across a bridge. And then it shifts in pitch to doof, 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 as you begin to see several forms filing through the hallway, as several more orcs come marching into the room. And that is where we are going to take a break. I just realized what time it was. We had a little bit of a late start, but we do need to take a break. I know I need to. I'm sure if I need to, somebody else does. So, thank you to everybody who is hanging out with us, watching with us. Please stick around. We are going to take a quick 10-minute break, during which there will be some announcements and things like that. Please stick around in the chat. Thank you to those of you who have followed the channel. Thank you to our new subscribers. And of course, once again, a huge thank you to Patron Saint, Chameleon Fam, Joey P, for that 10 domain dice blessing at the top of the game. I'm telling you, I'm going to make them use them. So stick around with us. We will be back in about 10 minutes. Until then, hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is The Intermission. Mini Terrain Domain, or MTD, is a channel dedicated to the love of and participation in the world of tabletop role-playing games. Whether we're designing encounters or miniature terrain, building worlds or dice towers, or just playing games, everything we do here is because we love this amazing hobby. That is why the mission statement of Mini Terrain Domain is simply imagine, build, play. If you like to watch live play or actual play D&D games, you can do so at twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain 3 days a week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays, you can join us for Cult of Personality, a long-running campaign set in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure setting. On Mondays, you can join us for All That Glitters, a Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign guaranteed to be epic proportion. And every Thursday night, you can join us for Dawnbringers, the Forge of Fury. This is a series of mini campaigns going across the gamut of several well-known modules. Season 1, which is available on youtube.com/miniterrain domain, took place in the Sunless Citadel. And Season 2 is currently taking place in the Forge of Fury. If you can't join us in the chat for our live shows, that's okay. You can usually catch the roleplay, or rather the replay, on YouTube just 2 days later. If you're a fan of what we do here and you'd like to support what we do, there are a variety of ways you can do this. First, simply follow the Twitch channel or hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Next, make sure you follow all of the participants of each game or show on their various social media platforms. To do this, if you're watching live with us on Twitch, you can simply type an exclamation point and that person's name into the Twitch chat, or on YouTube, you can look down below the information bar and all of their links can be found there. Finally, if you would like to provide monetary support, which flows right back into the production of the channel so we can continue making great content, you can join the growing list of patrons on Patreon. Additionally, you can also use Ko-Fi or Coffee to buy a coffee or two. I like coffee. But the absolute best way to support the channel is to follow and subscribe on Twitch and YouTube and join us in the chat. If you have an Amazon Prime account and you link it to your Twitch account, you can subscribe to one channel per month absolutely free. No matter what you decide to do, we are just happy to have you here. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more great content in just a few moments. Remember, metadata!
Hi everyone, I'm V and I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse. Please be sure to go over there and check it out if you too would like to learn how to make some tabletop terrain, paint miniatures, as well as some game accessories. I'm always happy to have new subscribers over there.
Learn the ways of the Game Master, the Dungeon Master, and delve into the minds of the players. If you're looking for adventure, excitement, thrills, and a dice-rolling good time, grab the modules each month and play the campaign with your gaming group with quest givers DM Scotty and DMG. They're taking you on an epic journey through the role-playing experience every Friday. You're sure to get hooked on adventure.
And we really liked the idea of creating adventures together, so we thought that'd be a lot of fun to share with you guys.
I didn't think this kind of stuff would come out of my brain. We are quest givers, and I'll see you in the next video.
Adventure Mixtape, a music and adventure anthology, is a collection of 4 adventures for the 5th edition of the world's most popular role-playing game. The adventures are setting neutral and meant to be seamlessly dropped into any world that has a large seaside city and a jungle environment. With a bit of adaptation, the environments could be changed to suit any group. In Treaty of the Tiger King by Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, a distant king arrives at the city to negotiate the peaceful end of a war, but the mercenary guild has other insidious plans for him. Will the players be able to thwart assassination attempts against King Rami and help him negotiate circles of social intrigue in order to finally end the war? In Madness of the Majestic Menagerie by Ken Brees of Burling's Beard, the famous Majestic Menagerie draws hordes of visitors to the metropolis and cultural hub known since time immemorial as Splendor by the Sea. But now the gates of the famous zoo have been shut, and the grand opening of the new section has been jeopardized by a spate of mysterious accidents and, it's whispered, grievous injuries due to uncontrollable creatures. Mr. Majestic seeks to hire investigators and troubleshooters who can keep a low profile to iron out any problems before the impending grand opening becomes a complete disaster. Do Do you have what it takes to uncover what's driving the madness that's befallen the majestic menagerie? In The Infernal Collection by Sharang Biswas, when an influential fashion designer is found dead days before a major fashion show, heroes are called in to solve the mystery, prevent any further destruction, and help the fashion house prepare for the show. Gorillas in Their Midst by Jacob W. Norman of Mini Terrain Domain is a pulp action adventure wrought with perilous challenges and a high possibility of death. But what is adventure without danger? Of course, there is the lure of vast piles of unclaimed treasure and the accompanying fame that await those intrepid adventurers who would defy the odds and plunge into the heart of darkness. In this adventure, the characters will face raging river rapids, wicked waterfalls, poisonous plants, venomous vines, sinking sands, treacherous traps, and the vicious jungle demon itself, Awakane Gori. Grab your satchels, fedoras, and bullwhips. Adventure awaits. The Adventure mixtape also comes with 4 original songs inspired by and written for the heroic adventures herein. This collection of music and story is something unique. We had no better word for it than mixtape. If you ever received a cassette, CD, or digital playlist curated to take you on a memorable journey, then you'll recognize what you find inside this volume. Also included in the Adventure mixtape, courtesy of Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, are exclusive combat cards. Special cards that contain all of the items, monsters, and spellcasters found within these adventures to make running your adventure all the more easier. Adventure Mixtape, a music and adventure anthology, is available exclusively on drivethrurpg.com.
Griveth, once home to the most wondrous kingdom the world had ever known, blasted to nothing in just a fortnight. It is here that the fiends of hell walk among us. It is here where all things die. Welcome to Griveth. Demon invaders roam the landscape and have conquered all. The world is a ravaged and wrathful wasteland, where the old world lies buried beneath the blood and sand with its gods and its secrets. Water is fought over with blood and steel. Compatible with the 5th edition of the world's oldest fantasy role-playing game, this book contains all new character creation options, including all of the familiar classes with new aspects befitting the ravaged wastelands of Griveth, along with new backgrounds, subclasses, spells, feats, and so much more. New races will allow you to play as the cursed Ash Elves, the Forsaken Humans, the Primordial Incarnate, the Proud Orcs, the Reptilian Suri, or the Infernal-Blooded Tieflings. New game mechanics such as blood, grit, and effort give your games an intense focus on lethality and survival. Numerous roll tables full of ideas to help bring your games to life. Featuring incredible thematic art by Brandish Gilhelm of Runehammer Games, as well as Lloyd Collins. The people of Griveth are not heroes. In Griveth it is courage just to survive. Will you rise to face the tide of demons, or will you succumb to the hostile elements? Available now on drivethrurpg.com.
And we're back as the heavy footfalls of many new orcs coming down that hallway from the west. All of them coming into the room through the hallway, taking an assessment of the situation. Because of the hallway and the amount of time it's taking them to move, only the first group of these 10 new orcs are going to get a chance to act. So only 4 of the 10 are going to act. There has just been another sub gifted, which puts you back up to getting better at this. Doom, doom, doom. There you go. 61 domain dice. Okay, so in the main room, we have Talmud and Cantriel. These 4 orcs come running in. The first 2, each of them come charging at each of you, Thorgarn and Cantriel. And I need each of you to make a strength check as these orcs come running at you and immediately attempt to tackle you to the ground. And I don't want to use that die. Rolling 1s, and I'm going to roll it anyway just to see what happens. I'm going to let you see as these 2 orcs are making tackle checks, grapple checks against you. What did you each get on your strength check? Actually, sorry, that would be an athletics check.
Okay, that makes a difference, but I am using a domain die.
Okay.
That is significantly better. Well, that changes my 8 into a 22.
I also got a 22.
All right, so...
Hey!
Forgot what I was doing here with the domain dice.
Playing with them.
Dropping it back down
There
to...
you go.
There you go.
Giving us 5 more.
I was like, I don't want to suddenly you guys... How'd you get 155 domain dice?
Yes!
Okay, so you got what, 22 and 23? Is that what I heard?
22. Both of us.
Okay, so there is a chance that this could succeed. I'm gonna let you guys see. The red one is going to be versus Cantriel, and the green one is versus Talmud.
Thorgarn.
Or Thorgarn. So that is a 9 against Thorgarn. And a 15. So they look like they're coming in to tackle you, and you're able to hold them off. The first 2. But immediately, almost like they were hiding behind them, as they kind of duck down to try to tackle you and you hold them off, Cantriel, you see another orc swinging his great axe in to try to take you out. And that is going to be a 21 to hit.
Can I deflect that?
No, you are in another room. You are like 30 feet away in that room. You guys actually, you guys don't even know this has happened yet.
I would imagine they heard the
No, because their ears are still ringing with the shatter spell.
Oh man.
There's that thunderous ring in this small chamber that they're this enclosed chamber. I don't think they would have heard exactly. When it gets to their turn, we'll see. So that's a 21 to hit. So you are going to take Cantriel. Ooh, that is max damage. You're going to take 15 points of slashing damage from this orc. And Griveth, nope. Thorgarn. Same thing happens to you. This other orc comes in with a great axe, and that is going to be a 12.
12 is going to miss, sir.
There's a shower of sparks as he misjudges, and the great axe clatters into the iron bars of this jail cell as he misses. But the two of you can see the actually, you're in this room too, aren't you, Talmud? Okay. And you as well can see the group here that's coming down the hall as well. Griveth and Fig, I'm going to have you each give me a perception roll. Yeah, just give me a perception roll.
25 for me.
Got a 3.
Fig, it's as if the shatter spell, the sound kind of got inside your casing, and it's sort of vibrating. Some of your auditory sensors seem to be kind of like, but Griveth, you hear echoing through this sound that you recognize as an almost militaristic marching sound of many booted feet, and you know that your friends are in trouble in the other room. As we move to Talmud's turn, there are 4 orcs in this room already, 6 lining up in the hallway, all of them armed, all of them raring to fight. What are you going to do?
I am going to close in order to make friends with the one who is closest to me.
It's going to be either on Thorgarn or Cantriel. You choose.
Okay. Yeah. I think Talmud is aware that the apology that he attempted to give Cantriel earlier was a little piss poor. So he's going to close with that one, the one that just hit her. And he is going to switch from Gerta to the Great Axe. You said there's 4 in the room, but we know there's more coming in the hallway. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can see now the 6 that are in the hallway, and the 4 obviously that are on either side of you. So you're attacking the one that hit Cantriel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And before he swings, he is going to grip this Great Axe's haft very tightly. His knuckles are going to go white. He's going to grit his teeth, and his tattoos are going to begin to glow this kind of blue color. And as he does so, who's gonna? As he does so, he comes at this orc, recklessly attacking, and kind of leaps between him and Cantriel, going, and that's a 20. Yes.
Good Lord, Eldath and Moradin are with you tonight.
It's my ancestors. Okay.
I would like to use a domain die to make you... No.
That's going to cost you...
I would like to use a domain die, but I can't.
Okay, so that is... Oh, the Braveheart music is like swelling right now. I'm like... Okay. So that's a total of 12 and then 6. So that's 18 plus what I roll here. 18 and 9. So that's 27 points of damage.
How do you kill this orc?
Suck it, Blue. He kind of screams like a maniac and jumps down. And as he's coming down, he brings this great axe straight down and hits this orc right where the neck kind of meets his clavicle and just cuts him all the way down to his navel. And he just follows the weight of this orc down to the floor, wrenches the axe free, and just like lets the blood run down the haft of the axe onto his hands and like down his forearms. He then turns at the next orc and takes a half step towards him and then swings sideways, almost baseball style. Okay, it's a +2 axe, so that's a 22.
Yeah, that's it. And which one were you attacking? The other one that had tried to tackle Cantriel?
Yeah, if there's another one engaged with Cantriel.
Yeah, there's two. There were 2 engaged with Cantriel and 2 engaged with Thorgarn.
Absolutely. Then the other one that was on Cantriel, he's the closest. All right, so that is There's 9 points of slashing.
All right. That he's kind of recovering from the attempted tackle and sort of kind of pulls back, and you open a big gash in his chest. You do a pretty fair amount of damage, but he's not dead
yet.
Let's see. So that was Talmud. Let's see. Those guys are all dead. That is going to take us back to the top of the order. Thorgarn, you've got 2 orcs. One that tried to tackle you, and one that tried to behead you. What would you like to do?
All right, I got over 20, and I'm going to use a domain die. Not liking that, but it is definitely better. So that is a 15 on my 3rd attack.
That will also hit.
Awesome. All right, so I'll give them to you in order in case,
To make it easier, and because there's so many, you guys are trying to hit armor class 13 on these orcs.
Okay. All right, well, then I did need to roll, but only barely. All right, that is going to be... That's a 10. That's 7, so 17. And if that still doesn't bring it down, that is another... so a total of 21 if 17 doesn't bring it down.
What was the first hit? How much damage?
10. Second hit is 7.
So the first hit is enough to take out the first orc.
Oh, cool.
So between those 3 attacks, what does it look like as you take out both of these orcs?
So the guy who came in at me with the great axe first, he swings it down for fun, and because I don't always fight smart, I step over the haft of the axe. So as he like lifts it up, I like ride it down and bring the warhammer right into his face. It he collapses under the weight of the warhammer. The guy who tried to grapple with me kind of stares stunned at this kind of reckless battle tactic, but I'm like right there with both weapons, and I just sandwich the war pick and the warhammer right into his torso.
And as you begin to make your attack, like just as you've dodged getting beheaded by this first orc, you hear that dirty dwarf from sorry, I didn't. That sounded ridiculous when I said it.
Is he having the time of his life? That's all
you hear that damn dirty dwarf as he starts to say, I told you that wasn't. And then you just doosh, 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 and he goes,
oh,
maybe you'll be all right. So that is now between the 2 of you, 3 orcs down. Fig, meanwhile, having no clue that any of this is taking place, Fig, you are in the room with the orcish caster, who has just been hit pretty hard by this shatter spell. What would you like to do?
Fig is going to outstretch his arms towards this caster, and he's going to snap his finger, and as metal hits on metal, you can see like this spark ignite between his fingers, and from it a bolt of fire comes out and sails towards the orc. I'm casting firebolt. That's going to be a 24 to hit.
Yep. Well, let me just double check the orc Eye of Grumsh. Yeah, that hits.
Hey, he's wearing some crazy armor. You never know.
So while you're rolling up that damage, it just made me laugh. Chesic student in the chat just said the party aren't trapped in with the orcs. The orcs are trapped in with the party. That's awesome.
So that is going to do 19 points of damage.
How do you kill the orc caster with this firebolt?
I can imagine that as this bolt sails towards this caster, you see him immediately be engulfed in flames. And as he's trying to put them out, he can't. Where he pats out some fire, just more fire comes and just engulfs him more and more. And I can even imagine that he stumbles back into the fire pit where that spell scroll had been. And once he falls in there, just more fire comes up and engulfs him until he's nothing more than orc barbecue.
And as the darker smoke begins to mingle with the smoke of the fire, and you sort of watch the smoke and ash of this now dead orc, I'm just crossing off. Just so you know, that cost you 50 gold because you burned up his ears. But you watch as the embers are floating upward, and you see the smoke drawn up through a natural chimney in the rock. And you'll recall just a couple days ago, when you first approached the Stone Tooth, one of the things that you saw was a pillar of smoke rising from a stone chimney somewhere high up on the mountain. You're just vaguely reminded of that, and you kind of realize this was what you had seen, was the orcs fire creating that smoke.
And now at this point, is Fig the only one? He's the only one in that room.
Nope, Griveth is in there too.
No. Oh, okay. At that point, he would kind of turn to Griveth. Where are the others?
I'm looking kind of panicked. It looks like they're under attack in the other room.
It's your turn, Griveth.
Yeah. So so it doesn't look any more dangerous in here, right? It doesn't seem like there's any more enemies or anything in this room, right?
It was just the orc caster.
Is there another passage leading out of this room? I don't remember.
There is not.
Okay, but there is that kind of natural chimney.
Yeah, it's about 30 feet up.
Okay, cool. So I kind of give a glance at Fig and look, quickly survey the situation. Everything's okay. So I rush into the other room, and I see my friends trying to hold off. Looks like Cantriel took a nasty wound. My friends are trying to hold off these orcs that are flooding in, right? There's four in the room. There's four in the room and some more in the hallway.
There's 3 dead orcs.
Ooh.
In the room. 2 of them are at Talmud, at Thorgarn's feet. One of them is at Talmud's feet, and he is literally dripping with orc blood. Cantriel is wounded, and there is one wounded orc standing next to Talmud and Cantriel. Basically, with you moving out into the room, as we just take a quick look, as we go to the battle cam, we'll take a quick look at the battlefield assessment, and you've made it out of the room, and you are standing just on the right side of that bed that is on the rightmost bed. Just across the bed is this orc, Cantriel, Talmud. Technically, you are at the limit of your movement, but if you wish to attack, I'm going to make you make an athletics check to leap over the bed, using the bed as kind of a springboard for your attack.
Okay.
You don't have to do that. I'm just saying, if you wish to attack, the bed is kind of in the way, and you're at the limit of your movement.
Okay, so are there more still coming in from the hallway?
Oh yeah, you can now see to the west, that hallway, you can see 6 more battle-ready orcs.
Okay. So I whip out one of the spells that we found, one of the scrolls, and I cast web on the doorway.
Nice. Just take a quick look at that. So you conjure a mass of thick, sticky webbing at a point of your choice within range. The web fills a 20-foot cube from that point for the duration. The webs are difficult terrain and lightly obscure their area. They will definitely be anchored to solid masses because it's in basically a 10-foot by 15-foot. Oh, it's basically you've filled the entire entrance of this hallway plus 10 feet into it. I'm gonna say that's enough. That it's gonna force on the start of their turn the first 2 orcs in those columns to make the dexterity save to see if they get caught in that.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
In that web.
So I say, how about a little breather, my friends? And that's when I, kind of slap the scroll out and cast it. And the scroll kind of disintegrates as I cast the spell, and I'm ready for battle with my friends.
All right, web spell scroll gone. Mark that off. And that's normally where the Grumsh went. So it's Cantriel's turn.
Well, I rolled while Griveth was going, and I got a crit.
All right, what do you...
So she's going to, as the web spell gets cast, she's going to turn to the orc that slashed her, right? Or no, that one's dead. I think that one was killed.
Yeah,
she's going to turn to...
It was the one that tried to tackle you that Talmud slashed him open, but he's still standing.
Okay, so she's going to turn to the one who's still upright between herself and Talmud, and she's going to get a very sarcastic smile on her face and say, looks like you're stuck with us now, and a little something else. And she's going to stab him with her rapier. And he's going to be getting 17 points of piercing.
How do you kill this orc?
She's going to ram him straight through with her rapier up to the hilt and just smile the whole time and say, what a lovely pair of ears you have too, love.
Weirdly, the last thing that comes out of his mouth is as he dies, briefly laughing. Let's see. Is that the end of your turn?
No, she's going to turn over to turn to Talmud and smile at him and says, I think we're standing on equal footing now. Do a good job. And she'll do Bardic Inspiration.
All right. Yeah. Bardic Inspiration to...
Thank you.
Talmud. Let's see. It's the orc's turn. So first off, I'm going to have the first 2 orcs in the column. I'm going to have them make a save. What is your... Actually, I got to check. Was it...
14.
Yeah, it's against your thing. So the first 2 orcs will make a saving throw. Dexterity, that is a critical fail. And a 14. So it just, one of them just sort of kind of stops like this. The other one just runs straight into it and is now stuck in the web.
Let's re-roll that one that passed.
Oh, look at that. Look at us. We're flush with domain dice, so we're going to spend them. So
Well,
the
you
new
said,
roll...
You said you want us to use them, so
The new roll is now a dirty 20. So not only does he stop, he holds up his hand. The other 4 are going to get advantage on their dexterity save because they were warned. To see if they crash into the web, because they were marching in towards the room. So we'll go ahead and go to the dice cam here as I roll 4. I can't roll this one. It doesn't show well on camera. Screw it. I'm going to roll it anyway. That one. See, now I want them to succeed. I'm like, I don't know what die to use. All right. These are the 4 remaining orcs. Dexterity saving throws. That is a critical fail. A 14, so that's a success. A 16 is a success. So 2 of them immediately crash in. So we now have 3 orcs that are caught in the web. And I thought I was going to get you, Jeremy. Got 3. You can see out of the corner of my eye. 3 orcs that are caught in the web, and 3 that are not. So you now have 3 orcs restrained. So the 3 that are not, let's see. This ought to be fun. I'm gonna roll an intelligence check on these orcs. Well, that is a, what's their intelligence? -2. So that 19 becomes a 17. You see one of the orcs, you can just kind of see it through this obscured web area, as the one that kind of tried to stop the others. He starts fiddling with something in his belt, and you can see as he pulls out a couple pieces of something, and then you see as he's trying to start a fire with flint and steel. He's trying to light something, but not able to get started on it. The other 2 orcs are going to attempt to cut with their axes through the web. I'm going to have them make attack rolls versus your DC. If they fail by 5 or more, they will get caught in the web. These 2 weren't so bright. So that's a DC 14. They have a +5 to attack. They both succeed with an 18 and a 16. So all they really managed to do, though, is just cut through a little bit of the web. This is still a 10-foot cube of area that's covered in this, like 10 by 10 cube that's covered by this stuff. So they're not going anywhere. As it is now Talmud's turn. Talmud, what are you going to do? All living orcs are on the other side of this web.
But I can tell that there are others on the other side of the web.
Yep, you saw them. You know they're there. You can kind of see them.
Wonderful.
And you're raging.
Yeah, and I'm raging as Cousin Torkenfell on top of that, who is going to look at Cantriel as she's kind of given him this bardic inspiration, and he's just like dripping with this kind of thick black ichor. And he looks at her and kind of licks the edge of this battle axe, and then goes, and he turns and he runs straight into the webbing.
All right. Make a dexterity saving throw.
Talmud.
And you have bardic inspiration. Does that allow him to use it on the saving throw? You're a valor bard, aren't you? I think he can use that on saving throws, can he?
First, I'm going to spend a domain die to reroll that.
Because even bardic inspiration won't help?
Not with a 4.
He can use it for weapon damage. He can use it for when an attack is made against the creature or against reaction to a roll, and add the number rolled to AC.
Okay, so I'm sitting at a 16, but I'm pretty sure that that's not high enough. So I'm going to slap. What? No?
Well, say what you were going to say.
I was going to say, I don't think that's high enough, so I'm going to go ahead and slap that bardic inspiration on there. It's a D6? Or...
Yeah, the base ability is you can add it to an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw. So Valor doesn't even come in.
No, Valor's the one that just lets you add it to damage as well. So,
damage race.
So yeah, by default, Bardic Inspiration, you can add that, and that is a D6, right, Cantriel?
No, it's a D8 now.
Oh, it's a D8 now.
Mhm.
Yeah, you guys are level 6.
Okay, so that's an 18.
All right. So you go charging into this webbed area.
Sorry, not sorry.
And you actually make it about 5 feet in before the webs even start to stop you. Because that's technically a success, the way and this is why I wanted to let you finish what you were saying to see how high you got. You actually break through the webs just through the sheer force of running with this bloody axe leading the way. And if you wish, you can make an attack against one of the orcs that is trapped in the webs at disadvantage, so it'll kind of level out, I think, depending on what you do. Because it's well, actually, I won't make you roll at disadvantage. I will treat this as partial cover, so he's going to have a slightly higher AC, because he's kind of in these webs. So instead of hitting an AC 13, you're looking for an AC 15 now.
Okay. Just the one attack though, not my extra attack.
You haven't made any attacks. You have your full attack action, so
Just making sure. All right. Once again, this guy is a nut house, so he is going to attack recklessly.
yeah, I just counted your charging in as movement.
Oh, that's a 19 plus 9. That's a 28.
Yeah, that's gonna hit this restrained orc.
All right. And the second attack versus him or another, depending on whether he survives, is that's a 22. So,
all right, that was your second attack.
All right. So the first attack is going to be 8 and 6, 14 points of slashing.
How many?
14.
So that first orc you just attacked is now dead.
Excellent. So he's like trying to bring like a shield or something around to block, but this webbing is like still holding his arm back. And Talmud just takes full advantage of that, cuts his arm off. And
there's now an orc arm just hanging in the webbing.
Absolutely. Still clutching the shield.
And there's two more caught in the web.
All right. Another one of those is going to take 12 points of slashing.
How do you kill this orc?
This one's head comes off very easily.
And just caught by the hair, the head still suspended, kind of just goes, the body actually slumps a little bit and the head just kind of goes, bungee
jumping.
At this point, Talmud is literally covered in this blackish red blood. Like all you can see is teeth and eyeballs through all the blackish red, as he's just covered in gore.
And he's just leaping up and down like a frog.
On the other side of the webbing, you see that orc that was trying to spark the flint going, trying faster and harder to start a fire. Is that it, Talmud?
You would like more?
No, I'm just making sure. I want to give you your full turn.
That's all I've got.
I just gotta see. Yep. Griveth. Fig, you're still in the chimney room, right? Cantriel, Thorgarn, the three of you here, you're not quite sure if it's coming from the direction you came or from that northeast passage where you're at right now, where the bed is. So you've got where that kind of splits up there. I'm pointing like you can see it. Where it splits up there to the northeast. You're not sure which way it's coming from, but you hear boxes being smashed. Something is, and you hear it like moving pretty quickly as there's just as something seems to be crashing through the stacked broken furniture and crates and barrels. And then you see a figure squeezing its way through that tunnel that you had previously come through. Where that bed is, where the dead orc lies, the first one that was slain by Thorgarn and Talmud, there's that big pile of debris. You see a thick, massive arm with a leather and metallic bracer. Fingers the size of the orc's arms. Furniture begins to crash and shatter near your feet, where you're standing, Cantriel. And as all of this crashes around you, and Fig, you hear the crashing happening. And as you turn, you can just make out this figure as a massive, brutish ogre comes into the room. And he looks around at all of you.
It is you that have been causing all this trouble. I have been waiting for this.
And that is where we are going to end tonight's session.
Oh, come on.
Unless you want to continue on.
What do you guys think? Should we do this battle now?
I'm up for it if you guys are.
I'm fine if you guys want to keep going. Party vote. Thumbs up if you're good to continue. My vote doesn't count. So we've got 2 thumbs up.
Come on. Oh.
Jeremy's playing the odds, waiting. No, we got 3 thumbs up.
I mean, if you guys have to leave, I mean, that's what we got to. I mean,
Yeah, because I mean,
yeah. If you really have to quit,
All right,
I'm good with that. But if you can stay, I'm up for it.
All right. Well, sounds like we're not a unanimous vote, so we'll do this next week. But oh man,
A good place to stop. It really is.
Yep.
Makes me Jones.
Yeah, I debated, even as I was saying it, whether or not I was going to call it right there. Looking at the time, we did have about a 20-minute delay getting started. But yeah, you guys are in it. You've made your way through. Let's see. So Talmud, you killed 2 more. So by my count, 1, 2, you have just, since you came into this area, you guys have 10 dead orcs. Technically 11. But there are 10 dead orcs that you can claim ears from. Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Probably a good thing we did.
Right at the end, that's where my internet crapped out.
Okay, we lucked out.
Oh, crap.
We lucked out.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, and what's going to happen is...
Yeah, they lost. They said they just lost video.
Oh, no.
Well, we were ending anyway. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to do what I did the other night. Because I still, the VOD is still recording. Admitted that. So 1 second. 1 second.
Okay.
And the stream is going to restart in just a second.
Before we make a total decision on this, I have to say something. Okay. I have a birthday dinner next Thursday, so I might not be able to. I'll probably be able to play. It'll just be late, so I won't be right on. And then that next Thursday is Origins, so I won't be here. So that's like 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Well, I will say this.
I don't know if that factors into the
I will
decision.
say this. You guys are incredibly close to this depends on whether or not there's 1 or 2 more sessions in the season. It's kind of where we're at right now. You're basically facing the stage boss. I mean, that should be pretty obvious. So
Yeah.
with that in mind, sorry everybody, we should be back. We were having a discussion. There is also the caveat that if the internet crapped out once, it could crap out again. And I think we lost some people. How late would you have to come in, Scotty?
It could be up to an hour.
How do you guys want to proceed?
I just wanted you guys to know that before we made the decision.
Honestly, the way you guys are going, this could be, could this session with this battle could be wrapped up within the half hour. If you guys can go another 30 minutes,
We can punk it. We can punk this out.
Yeah, I'm not going to say yes, and because if you guys have jobs and stuff to worry about in the morning, I mean, I have the luxury of get the kids on the bus.
Right. I'm off tomorrow, so it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, it's up to you guys.
it's
But I
Friday.
just
I
wanted
don't
you
care.
to
All
know
right.
you guys know that because it's going to be a while before we. Okay.
All right. So,
All right.
with that in mind, thank you. Everybody seems to be filtering back, or some people. Hopefully, yeah, I think that's about where we were viewer-wise. So it looks like we're going to go ahead and carry on at least for another half hour. Just a reminder, if it does cut out, we'll deal with it and refresh it. It should only take a minute or so. So this giant ogre has just entered the fray. He is massive. It's lucky that it's big ceilings, but you see scrapes on him where he had to force his way through this passageway. Mechanically, remember that D4 I had you roll, Ted?
Yes.
You were determining how many rounds it was before he showed up.
Okay,
So-
well, I'm glad 3 was it.
Yeah. So as he comes into the room and he says this,
You are the ones. I have been looking forward to this.
and then he seems to look around and he sees all of the dead orcs.
They're not my kin anyway. I won't be so easy. I am the great Earth. And you will not be able to meet me or my great iron balls.
And as he says that, you hear as from behind his back, 2 great iron balls drop. And you see the chains that they are connected to as he pulls the handles around to the front, picks them up, and begins going. And he is coming in right into the room, and it looks like Griveth and Cantriel are going to be the closest targets to him. The first one is against Cantriel. That is going to be a 19 to hit.
Deflect.
Yeah, you're gonna re-roll maybe.
No, I'm deflecting it first.
Which causes disadvantage, correct?
Yeah.
That turns that into an 11. There's
Okay,
a heavy...
goodness.
Griveth, make a strength check real quick.
I didn't roll so good, so I'm going to use an inspiration.
All right.
Okay, that's better. 16.
Good. It's powerful, this blow that strikes against your shield. It sends vibrations up your arm and your feet skid back a couple inches, but you hold your ground. The second comes in with the other one, attacking at you this time, Griveth. And that's going to be... Are you freaking kidding me? right into the ground next to you. And he, because of the way you deflected it, he kind of makes a cross motion. And my rule is on a critical fail, more often than not, they open themselves up to an opportunity attack. As he has set himself up on his off foot, and you get an opportunity attack against him.
Do both Cantriel and I get an opportunity attack?
I'm gonna say yeah, technically, since you guys are so
Team Cantriel, yeah,
so close in engaged range. As Cantriel, Griveth's shield, you suspect, may have saved your life. Looking at the size of this ogre's balls. So what's your attacks?
I got a 15.
22.
Those are both going to hit.
Nice. And then that is to do 10 points damage.
Can I do a smite?
Sure.
An opportunity? Okay, sure. Okay.
I'll allow it.
Let's do
It's a boss battle. Let's make this awesome.
Eldeth! Bam, yes. 28 points of damage.
Yeah.
Boom!
Holy crap.
The hell?
As you strike him with this holy power, he sort of recoils and looks back at you and kind of looks in disbelief at his wounds.
You're going to pay for that.
But it is not his turn anymore. It is... Actually, we're back at the top of the order. Thorgarn, you are up as you see this new challenger has just entered. I mean, you can't help but see him.
Yeah, so at that point in time, a quick, toss of the phrase over my shoulder, Father Griffin, and I guess it's that time. The spirits, manifest. I issue my blood-curdling scream as my massive 3'11" frame goes charging into battle against this thing, attacking recklessly, all weapons into it. And damn it, none of them are crits. All right, so, but I also got nothing below a 20. I'm assuming a 21 hits?
Yes, it does.
All right, so that is 3, 6, 12, 13, 14, 21, 31 points of damage.
Good Lord. You guys have done a total of 69 points of damage against this ogre. All right.
So he automatically has disadvantage on any attack that is not directed at me. If they do happen to, if he does happen to attack somebody else, then they have resistance to the damage. Thanks to my spirits.
Hold on, I'm checking something. All right. So, Fig, you're going to be up next. And through that passageway, you can see in the other room now this massive ogre swinging these giant ball and chain, attacking, being attacked. He's probably about 12 feet tall. Massive.
Okay, so Big wants to race into the other room as far as he can get.
Which will put you 10, 15, 20, 25, basically on this side of the bed, across the bed from where he is, probably about 10 feet away from him.
Okay. So And again, he's going to do the exact same ritual as he was doing when he had first come in to see the orcs, the timer over his heart. And as these pulses keep going, he's going to hope that this works this time with slow.
Oh boy.
So he has to make a wisdom saving throw.
Well, it turns out he's a 9th level spellcaster. I'm just kidding. This is when the DM does everything he can to keep his baddie alive. No, sorry, it's what save was it?
Wisdom.
Oh yeah, I'm sure his wisdom is just going to be through the roof. Yeah. So let's go ahead and see what happens. I'm going to use the big Kraken die here. That has already rolled a couple of critical fails. But I decided this was the die for the ogre. He has a wisdom of -2. That's a 14 on the die, so that's a 12.
Awesome. So his speed is halved. He gets a -2 to AC and dexterity saving throws. He can't use reactions. On its turn, he can either use an action or a bonus action, but not both. And it can't make more than one melee or ranged attack on its turn.
Okay. First off, just generally as a player, slow is such an awesome spell. But right now, as the DM in this boss battle, gosh, all of the things I did for this boss to beef him up, you've just completely mitigated. So let me see. He's -2 to AC, -2 to Dex. Only can make an action or a bonus action.
Yep. It can't do reactions.
No reactions, which we'll get into that in a minute. And multi-attack. He can only make one attack.
Yes.
And son of a... Well done. Well done.
Just call me Connor 2.0.
Yeah.
So I really think the spell should be renamed just FU, because that's kind of...
I think so. I think so.
So it can make another wisdom saving throw at the end of each of its turns.
Okay, that's what I was just about to check, because I know there's another saving throw in there. Oh, the spellcasting part doesn't matter for him. Oh boy, well done. As Fig comes running into the room and you see this magical energy, the casting of the spell, and the ogre just seems to, for a moment, as he's looking around, I'm going to... And he just seems to be fighting. You see, like, veins, muscles bulging as he's struggling against the power of this spell. Griveth, it is your turn.
Okay, I have an interesting question. So I have a Dissonant Whispers scroll, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I cast that, how would that work with me? Like, how would that?
So are you talking because it's a bardic spell and you're not a bard?
Yeah.
So one of the house rules that I have is that if you are a spellcaster, you can cast any spell from a scroll. The only one that would have to make an Arcana check, or excuse me, an Intelligence check, in order to be able to cast a scroll spell would be Talmud, because you are all otherwise casters. So read away.
Okay, cool. So so the spell kind of like you whisper a discordant melody that the creature can see. Would the scroll create that itself, or would it be something I said?
The scroll is just giving you the power. It's reading the scroll is sort of the preparatory action that then you blend in whatever your actual dissonant whispers are.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be
Okay,
whatever
so
you
what?
wish.
Gotcha. So what I'm doing is I am proselytizing Eldath to this foul creature. So it's like, it's like claws on the chalkboard, to this thing, right? So it makes a wisdom saving throw.
And
I think or is it
only you
intelligence?
and the great Ulf can hear this.
Oh, okay.
But you hear within, you all would see Griveth, his hair is sort of, and his eyes seem to momentarily, they actually sort of flash the same kind of bluish arcane as Fig does when he casts spells. But that blue quickly clouds over into a blackness. It actually looks like storm clouds rolling. You can see rays of light occasionally, like the light of Eldath emerging. But Griveth, blended in with your dissonant whispers, proselytizing Eldath, it's almost as if there's a second discordant melody harmonizing with this that is proselytizing Gothias, the vampire.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we're going to go ahead and roll this wisdom saving throw. And I'm going to stick with the same die.
Yeah.
That is a critical fail.
Oh!
So technically, that is a -1 to his wisdom. So roll that psychic damage.
So with critical, do you do criticals with spells?
No, not on a save. If it were a spell attack, I would.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But in this case, he just fails it.
Okay.
He had no chance of succeeding.
13 damage. And if he survives that,
he doesn't have a reaction.
Oh, right. He doesn't, does he? He would move away I guess he wouldn't because he doesn't have a reaction. That's funny. So would he have to move away on his turn? Since he doesn't have a reaction?
Possibly. It's going to depend on what happens. You see this as you're saying these phrases to him. He almost seems, everybody else, you just see this visual effect of Griveth casting up from this spell scroll that it's almost looks like as the spell is spent, it looks almost like you're tearing the paper in half, but it seems to sort of just turn to embers in your hands as you bring your hands to your side. You see in the ogre, the great Ulf, you all see him as he's so tense, moving slowly, forcing himself to look into Griveth's eyes, shaking. And you see you actually see blood vessels bursting in his eyes. And you see a little bit of blood drip down one of his ears and out of his nose. And as it drips down his nose, he just goes and licks at the blood. It's tense, but still holding, still standing. As it is now Cantriel's turn.
Cantriel will touch the wound where she got slashed by the axe, and she's going to rub her own blood between her fingertips, and she's going to look at him dead in the eye, and she's going to narrow her own eyes and sing, "I have might on my side, you only have defeat," and cast Bane upon this bugger. Because why not?
As if his saving throws aren't bad enough. Let's make them worse.
Yeah, pretty much.
As you do this, and your melody, which actually sort of cuts through to Griveth's hearing, through this discordant melody, you hear just, and as your eyes clear, you hear these beautiful tunes coming from Cantriel, these lyrics, and you actually hear a cracking sound as the great Ulf is so straining by just the sheer force of will of all of you. He's gritting his teeth so hard that he's cracking them. You hear teeth breaking. And it is now...
He has to do a charisma save.
Oh. What's the charisma save for?
For the Bane.
Oh, that's right.
Because I imagine this guy's full of charisma, right?
That was
totally.
And that was a wisdom, or no, it was a charisma. Yeah, make it a charisma save. That's a wisdom save, right? His charisma's great too.
You?
So that's a 9.
Oh yeah, he totally fails. So he's gonna have to try and save at the end of his turn, I believe.
At the negative D4.
Yeah, it's a D4 to your attacks and your savings. Pretty much.
Did you just say a D4 to your savings? Like that spell hits so hard it fucks up your bank account?
Yeah, your savings. You know, why not?
Damn. This guy's really gonna be picked.
So
you gotta hit him where it hurts.
So I have written down now. Jeez, he has -2 to AC, -2 to Dex, only an action or a bonus action, only one action, no multi, no reactions, and now Bane. I have so many conditions written down here for this guy. And this is my stage boss, everybody. Not even my stage boss. This is like second season boss. All right. This is just showing you how awesome the Dawnbringers are. Okay. It is now. They're dead. They're dead. Talmud, you are up. You are in the webs, but not held by the webs. There's enough commotion been going on that you are aware that this ogre has entered the fray, and your friends seem to be dealing with him.
There's still an orc alive on this side of the web with me, right?
There's still 4 orcs. 3 that have not been... actually, you know what? I got to roll to see if this orc... I need to make a survival check to see if he successfully lights the...
Stuff.
First, I'm going to make him make a wisdom check. You know what? So the one orc that was over there going... trying to light flint and steel... Once all this new commotion starts happening and seeing what you did, Talmud, he goes, screw it, throws it down, turns, and runs. And you see him running across a wooden bridge and disappearing. But yes, there's still one more that is stuck in the web that you could attack. Sorry, the other 2 that were on the other side still alive follow the first orc.
And running away?
So 3 of them are running away.
Okay. So, yeah, Talmud with this visage of his ancestor kind of, hovering in front of his own face. He kind of like takes like a half step. You cowards! And he turns around and sees this hulking massive shape, and he goes, "Oh, you're a big fella. That's a lot of blood." And he's going to turn and charge back into the room, cackling. Once again, attacking recklessly. Attacklessly wrecking. That's going to be another 28 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and the second attack, because I don't imagine one is gonna do. Oof. I'm gonna spend a domain die.
Before you do that, you hit with 1 attack, you said?
Mm-hmm, I did.
Roll damage.
Oh, okay. Well. Out for the snipe. All right. 9 and 6 is 15 points of slashing.
Talmud, how do you want to end this?
So this thing is slow. Very, very slow because of Fig's spell. Talmud closes the distance. He runs and jumps on top of one of these dingy, nasty orc beds and uses it to gain just a little bit of height. And he jumps onto this ogre's arm and climbs with one hand up just a little bit higher. And then he brings this battle axe up and brings it straight down just behind this ogre's ear and buries it one, half of the blade all the way to the haft into this thing's brain. And as he's riding it down to the ground, he's like, and there's like this fountain of like gray matter and juice just like spraying everywhere. And he looks like a kid in a sprinkler.
Cantriel, Griveth, Fig, Thorgarn, you as you see this happen, as Talmud drives this axe in so far, you actually see the blade split teeth and partially come out the front of his face. And through a mouthful of axe and blood, his last words as he's dropping to the ground are,
don't understand.
Over in the hallway with the one remaining orc that was stuck in the web, you hear a orcish cry as this orc has just cut his own arm off to break free, leaves his arm and the axe he used to cut it off as he takes off running, and you hear the footsteps across the sort of hollow resonating sound across the wood. You, for the sake of time, you manage to, once clearing this, defeating this enemy, you are able to kind of check. There's only a couple other halls and rooms, and I will tell you next session what all you find in terms of additional treasure. We are going to pick up in this area, because you do still have prisoners, or at least one prisoner that is held here, and we'll figure out what all loot you guys are able to find on the rest of this area. And then if you decide to head back to Blazing Dell, that'll probably be next session as well. So knowing Griveth Scotty's going to be gone at least for part of it, we'll put Griveth on a sort of autopilot, and we'll just kind of see how that plays. And then when you're available, Scotty, we'll get you in for that. But what that means is next week, episode 16 is going to be the season finale of season 2, Dawnbringers, The Forge of Fury. And we'll have more information next week as we wrap the season next week on just what we're going to do. We may try to squeeze in 1 or 2 one-shots over the next couple weeks to fill some time. But season 3 will not start until July, because we've got Ted and V are heading to D&D in the Castle. Pretty exciting. Meg and I and Jeremy are all heading to Tacoma at the end of the month for AtCon, Absolute Tabletop Con. Chesic student, if you're still there, I don't even know, I haven't been watching the chat. Can you drop a link to the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group if you're still there? If not, we'll get a link in here. Or maybe Jeremy or somebody, if you could do that. There's somewhere in there is some information on AtCon. I believe there's still some tickets available. It is a gathering of very awesome nerds. I mean, look, the 3 of us are going to be there in Tacoma, Washington, centered around Absolute Tabletop, and we are just going to have a blast. We're all running games. We're playing games. There will be drinking. There will be merriment. It's going to be awesome. But thank you, everybody. I'm glad we went ahead and kept going. I don't think would have been any less awesome to do it next week either. But so real quick, just because you guys know I love doing this, before we sign off, I basically, for the Great Ulf, I didn't want to scale this whole thing up or, throw all orc war chiefs at you because you're 6th level and you save this part till the end. But I had always intended that the Great Ulf would be more than just an ogre. And so basically I just took the ogre stat block, maxed out his hit points, I up armored him, which did no good because you just down armored him again. I gave him multi-attack, which you took away. I gave him bigger, badder weapons, which he didn't get to hit anybody with. But they would have done 1d12 of bludgeoning damage plus 1d6 of piercing damage, because on the first hit, the spikes were going to pop out of the balls. So there's so many cool things I was going to do. It was still awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love that you guys did this, but...
And just to be clear, now that, Talmud had entered the fray, had he not killed him and had he gotten another attack, because both of us were there raging, any of his attacks would have been at disadvantage.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't do anything more than that because I just wanted him to be threatening, but not like level balanced against you guys. Because think about it. You potentially could have run into him when you were level 5 still. If you guys had come up this way, you would have run into all these orcs. But essentially, because the way you guys went, the orcs knew you guys were here. And now at least 3 orcs have made it out of here, perhaps to tell the tale of the Dawnbringers. Who knows? But that is the end of our session, the end of episode 15 of the Dawnbringers, the Forge of Fury. That was Let Sleeping Orcs Lie. Next week, next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, join us here for the conclusion to Season 2. One more teaser for Season 3. Season 3 will be called Dawnbringers, Ghosts of Saltmarsh. And different than the Tales from the Yawning Portal, which we've pulled from for these last 2 seasons, I'm not just pulling from one adventure. I'm using the entire Ghosts of Saltmarsh setting and tweaking some things to my own liking. But it's time to get you guys out of the dungeons and into the open, fresh sea air. Saltmarsh is set in Greyhawk. Ours will be continued to be set in the Forgotten Realms. I've got some things planned. Next season is going to be bigger, better, just and full of all kinds of ocean goodness. Also be sure to check out the channel on our other days that we're streaming. We've got on Sundays, we've got Jolt of Personality. We're heading into episode 43 or 44, I forget. Starting today, my intern / my son has been uploading our missed episode. We have these I think 15 gap episodes between episode 13 and episode 27, somewhere in there. He's getting those uploaded already. People are responding to that. That's for Jolt of Personality. So within the next 2 weeks, all 42, 43 episodes will be available on YouTube. On Monday night, we have our All That Glitters Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, DM'd by Mike the Piper. Every other Tuesday, I'm over on Dice on Ice. We just played Curse of Strahd again last night. Coming up soon-ish, we will... V and I will be over with Ted on some point in time. We're figuring it out.
Date to be determined.
Yeah, date to be determined. And of course, I believe it's next Wednesday. I will be over on Erasmus Expeditions, playing in our Momentum Fragments and Whispers, I believe is what it's called. I think I got that right. Whispers and Fragments, something like that. So lots of great stuff going on. Be sure to check out everybody's social media. You can type their name into the chat. Huge thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight, keeping the chat going, and everybody who came in after the weird break. when we lost signal. Appreciate you sticking around to watch that epic battle. I've got to mention Star19, who resubbed and gifted 2 subs during the stream. I believe with our subs, I think we are now only 2 subs away from hitting the next level to unlock a new emote. At 35 sub points, we unlock a new emote, which means, and I think I'm going to open that one when it becomes unlocked. I'm going to come up with some ideas. I'm going to put out like a Twitter poll or something, and I'm going to let you, the fans of MTD, decide what our next emote is going to be. So you'll think about using your Amazon Prime linked Twitch account for free. You get a free sub every month if you link to Twitch. Think about using that for here. It helps the channel, and we can unlock a new emote. But of course, before we head out of here, a final thank you to our Dice patron, the one and only Chameleon fam, Joey P, keeping these guys flush in domain dice so that they're never afraid to use them. And yes, they will carry over into the new campaign, into the new season, rather. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We love you. Hearts and hugs to everybody. And we're going to sign off. Wait, nope, that's not how I say it. I don't even know my own sign off. We're going to end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
Ah!